be our very best in West Lafayette on Saturday. So do want to say this from the game. Do appreciate our young guys continuing to work their tails off in practice, just doing a great job for us. And Defensive Scout Team Player of the Week was Andrew Turvey. Offensive Scout Team Player of the Week was Zach Merrill and James Bamba. And then Special Team Scout was Sam Doctorstrip. So just guys continue to work hard. Really proud of our guys coming back yesterday and attacking the day. And obviously, hurting and down and frustrated, but at the same time staying together and just talking to our strength staff, the way they attack the weight room and everything that we're trying to do. So just want to finish strong and got one more week together for the 2021 season. And it's been very challenging, obviously, all the things out there, but at the same time, special group of guys, appreciate them, love them, and want to finish strong with these guys and do everything we can to keep the bucket. Questions?
I guess to start, you mentioned you're trying to get guys back. I mean, who is possible of getting back against the?
Yeah, trying to get Taiwan Mullen back. So he worked out over the weekend, and so we'll be practicing tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. We'll know more after that. Same with Stephen Carr, James Miller, those guys, trying to get those guys back. Obviously, quarterbacks as well. This is obviously our last week, so it's kind of either now or never in that regard, but still working with those guys to see where they're at. Also, Josh Sanguinetti, another one that been working to get back. Those guys that I mentioned have all been critical parts of our team in the past and need to get them if we can at all possible. So they're working hard to do that with our training staff and strength staff and everybody involved. So other than that, any specific guys you can feel free to ask about, but basically, everybody that's been out, trying to get them back, and some guys have continued to work and it doesn't look promising, but others it does, and so you just, each individual guy is attacking it the best they can and trying to get out there first team.
Is it kind of odd, last year's game obviously was canceled due to COVID, and you guys had tremendous momentum last year. You didn't play, and this is the second straight one you're going to have to play on the road, too. Just the dynamic of that and not playing last year and, I guess, holding the bucket for 2 years, even though you only had one win out of that.
Yeah, it was unique. There's no doubt. You think about even last year, man, it seems so long ago when leading up to that game and things started going south for both programs with COVID. And then we tried to reschedule it, the next week and didn't play it and ended up not playing the game. So, but obviously, 2 years in a row, we'll play the game at Purdue, and so that's just reality of what's happened. But bottom line is that's where the game's going to be, so that's where we're going to show up and play. So there you go.
Tom, you and Jeff Brom came into coaching here about the same time. When you guys passed, crossed a lot, I'm sure, and you guys both have dealt with ups and downs and ebbs and flows. During the course of time, though, over the course of a year and such, like how often, do you run into them, or how much do you pay attention to what they're doing in regards to real-time football and recruiting and such?
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing that we overlap with is recruiting. I don't physically get to see him that much, out there. There's occasional, I guess, on the road you might, because you get the contact period when the head coaches go out. But I ran into some of his assistants, at different places as I was out here earlier this season as well. But I think recruiting is where they really keep a close eye on things, and the guys that we're recruiting and the guys that they, offer or take or whatever. We're always kind of having those discussions as a staff, just making sure we're, seeing things and making sure we don't miss anybody, that kind of thing. So, but there's a lot of respect. Like you said, we both have had our ups and downs the last few years, and I've always respected him a lot and reach out to him at different times, and they've done a great job this year. I know they had, last year was what it was, and different things before that, but I've just have always been somebody that, I respect guys that do things the right way, and I think he's one of those guys, and he's a tough, hard-nosed guy, and works hard, and good family guy. I respect that, and just the way that they their coaches, handle things. And as we've got to know some of those guys, the ones that we maybe have known in the past, or maybe some that we didn't, have gotten to know more. So there's mutual respect there, even though it's a huge rivalry and huge game for both programs. But it's obviously an in-state team. Not every program has in-state teams. I've been a couple of different places that have had that type of rivalry, and it's very intense. But sometimes it's more ugly than others in those situations. But I do think that there's a professionalism here between both universities, especially with the staffs in football. I know for sure that there's just mutual respect.
Coach, now we reached the end of the season. We've seen Jacoby Hewitt enter the transfer portal. But of course, all teams are going to have that no matter what each year with that availability now. What is it that you actually try to do with this team to talk to them after the season, to the ones that are coming back and the ones that are coming in? It was not a great season, obviously, and there's no getting around that. But so you've got to have those conversations. How do they go?
Well, first of all, open and honest, and just from our guys on our team, and like you said, it's a very unique dynamic, more so than ever, because a lot of guys have getting near the end, they've graduated and may have more years left, and so those discussions have some have begun, some will become later after this weekend, and just to be able to have an honest conversation about where they stand with us and what they're thinking as well. But I think the biggest key is just open and honest, dialogue between both sides. And to me, it's about making sure that we have the guys that are all in here and want to be a part of this and want to help us fight through the adversity we've experienced and help us to get back to where we want to be. Obviously, this has not been anywhere close to the season any of us expected or wanted, but here we are. So we can't sit here and make excuses or talk about this or that. It's about what are we doing to build for the future. And so that's all about the players that we attract that come here and those that choose to either graduate and move on or just move on or however it works out for them. And so, like I said, my biggest thing is I want guys that fit with us and guys that want to be here. And that's the primary focus. And so that's about finding guys that fit with us, that we would add to the team, both either from high school or from a transfer situation, and finding guys that want to help us continue to build towards our goal of winning the Big Ten championship.
Coach, the finalists for the Buckus Award, college football's best linebacker, came out this morning, and Micah McFadden was not among the 6 finalists. I was just wondering what you thought about that.
Well, I think he's a great player, so I don't have any control of any of those, the voting for those awards, but obviously he's a special player. He's developed tremendously here since he's been here. Awesome young man, great family, ton of respect for him. So he's leader of our defense, one of the leaders of our team, and you see him play every weekend. So I think there's no question he's one of the best linebackers in the country, and that's my opinion about him, and I think a lot of others feel the same way. So, but those awards are what they are, and people vote for them, and that's fine. But it's not always indicative of an individual guy. But much respect to the guys who are on that list, and there are a lot of great players as well. So there's a lot of good players in this country.
Defense was really solid early in the season, and then the back half of the season, giving up 38 to Maryland, 38 to Rutgers, 35 this past weekend. Obviously, because of injuries, guys have had to play an awful lot of snaps that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. As a defensive guy, I mean, do you look back, are you disappointed in them? Are you understanding about the kind of struggles that they've had? How do you approach that?
Yeah, to me, very proud of the guys that are still battling every single day, that are still healthy to be able to be out there, fight to stay out there. The depth has become a huge issue. I'm just going to call what it is. Playing way too many snaps, and which has led to even later in the game, more fatigue, more mistakes, just kind of wearing down physically and mentally. And so that to me has been frustrating because I know how hard the guys are playing and how hard they work each week. So it's been an unfortunate set of circumstances. You just go through and you look at our roster and where we're at right now based on how we started, and there's no doubt. I mean, football is a numbers game. Always has been, always will be. That's why I have classes in high school sports. That's why they have different things working the way they are divisionally and how it works. And when you have more guys that are bigger, faster, and stronger that can make plays, that's what you want. And so unfortunately, as this has kind of got near the end here, we've really gotten decimated in some spots, and it's really taken its toll, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, that's where we are. So we got to fight through it and find ways to execute better in those critical times. I thought there were some things even in the game this last week where third downs really just did not get off the field in some of those third and longs that we really needed to, and sometimes with breakdowns and guys that have just once again maybe playing that aren't quite ready to be playing yet, but they still have to be out there because of the situation we're in. And so that's it. So what you got to do, we got to find a way to get those guys ready so they can execute. So, but it's not for lack of effort, not for lack of preparation with our guys working hard. And so we're just trying to keep it, and as simple as we can, so those younger guys can still execute and make plays, and try to get some of those older guys off the field a little bit, and early in the game, and not have them play every single snap. So, but that's where we are. And it has been frustrating because I know it's a special group of guys that I think they've got a lot of good players in there, and I know that they're frustrated as well. So, but the key is they're going to battle this week and work it really hard and try to find a way to maybe get some of these guys back. Even a guy or two would help. It would be huge to be able to help us in that area, especially in the secondary, and then just some depth at linebacker. So, but just trying to continue to do everything we can to fight through everything we're going through and help our guys have one more shot to play together and do something special.
Just asking about a little bit more about Grant, because he's a local guy for us. But from your perspective, and I know walk-ons have different kind of journeys to not just joining the program, but kind of how they develop within the program. Some stay for a whole career, some decide only for a couple of years. What was, from your perspective, kind of his path to you guys out of high school, and how have you seen him kind of, I guess, just kind of keep growing into what you ask of a walk-on quarterback in particular? Yeah,
it's a great question, and really, Grant's a really special guy. Comes from a good family, and Noblesville High School here in Indiana, and just his high school coach and other coaches from that area that recommended him to us was really kind of how it all started, and other individuals that have worked with him as a quarterback. And you come here, and we actually have 3 quarterbacks in that group of guys that came in here together. And he may not have necessarily been the top of that group even when he first got here. But I tell you what, of all of our walk-ons that we've had here, he may have improved the most. And just really bought in, just a tough kid, works hard, attention to detail. He's very smart, excellent student. He's what you want in a walk-on in regards to he does everything right. On the field, he does everything right. Off the field, and he's where he's supposed to be, on time, always there, smart, tough, dependable, and a guy is going to represent your program in a first-class way in everything that he does. Because here's the reality: if a young man is on our roster and he does something with poor judgment off the field, they don't give his bio and say, no, they say Indiana football player so-and-so. And that's how you're labeled, and that's just the way it is. And so whether you play or don't play, you're a part of this football team. And so we got to make sure that everybody, all 130 guys, are doing things the right way and representing our program in a first-class way. And he's one of those guys that you never worry about that with him, that he always does the right thing. And so it's just been awesome to see him be rewarded for that. And he's gotten better and better every single week, gotten better every year he's been here, even his reads and his understanding of the offense. Even as you've watched him play so far, and the times he has played, he's just very calm and very poised, and just sits back there and just does his job. So that's where he's at, and I know that he's very excited about the opportunity he's been given to get a chance to play, and taking advantage of it. So just really proud of Grant and the person that he is first and foremost, but now the fact that he's out there making plays and going to do what he can to help us get a win.
So obviously after Saturday you weren't thrilled with the offense in general, the more or less lack of a passing game. I guess just what did you, when you had a chance to reevaluate, reconsider it, just what more did you sort of find? What more did you see in terms of why some RPOs became runs when you thought they should be passes? I mean, what was some of your just grand?
Yeah, I think a lot of those to me were just quarterback making decision to run it rather than throw it. Whether or not it was the right decision or not, you go through and say, okay, this is how we would say the next time we do this. This is the decision we think you should make. So a lot of times there were decisions to take it and run it, and so and I think that's where we got to grow in that confidence to throw the football, and you got to throw the football. And yes, there's no doubt you want to put the defense in conflict and make them have to give us the proper read, and we got to make the proper read. And when you give a player the chance to make that read, you can't, just come down and say, hey, this is you got to give them that freedom to make that read, right? So, but we got to make some better reads. We got to be able to know when to throw it, when not to throw it, when to run it, when to throw it. So those are just growth process we go through, and so we're just going to try to do everything we can to. But we all know we got to throw the football. And so that's to me a big part of this, and so we got to be able to get better at that this week and work hard on that. And like I said, we've done a lot of good things in practice with that, but it has to transfer to the game, and it didn't do that on Saturday. Probably the least it has, with Donovan since he's been playing, and so we got to improve in that. And that's just a constant. To me, every day is valuable for him. Every meeting, every rep, every practice rep, every mental rep, everything we do to get him to continue to develop as a quarterback in this program. And that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to, every time he, does what he does, every season that he's in, whether it's the spring season, the off season, during the season, that it's growth, continual growth. And I know it's not always like this, it's never like that, but you got to be able to have that trajectory moving in the right direction. So to me, that's teaching from that. It's film. It's going through, and I said in those meetings with him, going over those decision-making things that happen in the game to try to help make better ones next week, and that's the whole goal. So he's young, and we got to find a way as a staff to make it as simple as possible to help him be successful on game day.
So I'm dismissing the depth issues at quarterback and running back because that's just been an anomaly this year. But in regards to the depth issues on defense, I'm kind of curious when you talk about that now, because it seemed like in the summer and in fall camp that you kind of felt like you had enough depth at all three levels on defense, but it certainly hasn't shown during the course of the season that you did. A, has that surprised you? And B, what's the reason for why that next group hasn't really played as well as you would have hoped this year?
Well, I think that's a fair question, and I feel like that some key guys early in the season have been injured. If you look at our secondary, we've lost some guys, even some young guys that were expected to be playing, either missed part of fall camp or got hurt early in the year, and lost some of those guys for the rest of the season. I know Josh is not really, he played early, and Monster got hurt the first few snaps of the Iowa game, and then Josh goes in there and he plays, and now he gets injured, and so they've kind of been tag teaming back and forth. We have not kept both of them at that position like you wanted them to be able to go, and I think you go back and you look at the corner position, and we got guys there, and then Chris was starting to play, and then he tears his ACL. Taiwan and Drees were injured most of the season, and linebacker, Thomas goes down, and then James goes down, and you got two guys that played a lot of football for us and really didn't play, and I know with Thomas's hip, we were trying to get him to where he could at least give us some snaps during games, and then James, has been up and down, and then he got injured. So it hasn't, you kind of feel like if you think, each position had at least another guy or two you felt good about. And then, I thought Jonathan Haynes would come in here and help us, and then he got injured. Matter of fact, he got injured during fall camp, and so then it's kind of been, all those spots, we just haven't been able to have the, consistent guys being there together. When one guy was healthy, the other guy was out, and vice versa. And then even, with James, James Head, he actually got hurt in the offseason, and then he finally came back, actually sooner than we thought he was going to come back. And so that was not what we were expecting from him. And so it's just kind of been one of those years, and so, and I do think these younger guys have got to, continue. You have a group of guys that play a lot of football in front of them, and to me, those other guys have got to continue to grow and develop, and that's why it's, I always think about, just different players, that have come through here at different positions, and some guys really elevate, when an older guy leaves and they have that whole off season, and so that's what you have to have happen for some of these guys, but I feel like that it's kind of just been different spots where guys that we were expecting to be a good solid number two, and you feel like you got a good number two, and then something happens to him, or something happens to the first guy, so he becomes the one, and then the other guy has to elevate. And so it's just hasn't, for whatever reason, been able to stay consistent. I know a year ago we were stayed pretty healthy, even though we had the COVID situation going on, and that was challenging with who was there and who was out, but we did not lose a lot of those guys, for long periods of time if it happened to be a case. So, but it, on that side of the ball, it's been, a frustrating thing to be able to not keep our guys with us each and every week, and doing some new things as well on that side of the ball. And then when they're out, they're not getting all those reps too. I think that's kind of had a cumulative effect in a negative way, which has hurt us. And then you just got to be able to, when those guys are here, you got to get them ready. So that's, I know I've kind of given a long answer to that, but it was kind of like, because I kind of had the same, like going through each position and different things, and, you just got to, what we're going to have to do as we go through, and we talk about this already and get ready here when the season ends, is just back and just kind of rebuild each room and try to be able to go through and look at it that way, and be able to maximize our guys and who we have and who's coming back, and be able to address the needs accordingly. So, but that's the challenge and the opportunity I have in front of us.
Saturday, I asked you about Grant, that he just looked comfortable out there when he was playing, and then afterwards on the field when we were talking to him, someone asked him about pressure, and he says, pressure's not real. He doesn't believe in it, which there's the reason why he's so calm out there. And you talk about the need for passing in the offense, that you have to have that in order to win. Is the odds that we're going to see a lot more of Grant Gremmel this week than not? Is there a possibility that he starts this game because his passing he's been the only passer here of late that can get the job done?
Yeah, as I said, I think afterwards, all options are open, and we start practicing. We had we have like a walkthrough, do some things individually on Sunday nights, but our really first practice for the week will be tomorrow, with today being our off day. And so, that's he's definitely going to be in there getting lots of reps, and we'll see as the week plays on. We'll see how who's healthy and then who's also able to go, and obviously he's going to get a lot of reps. And I liked what I saw on Saturday, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like every year Jeff Brom throws in a quarterback. He's thrown for 340 yards this year. He has O'Connell. But just their passing offense in general, what makes it so difficult to stop, and what is that challenge going to be like, certainly with your secondary being bagged up?
Yeah, so they've got really talented quarterback. I know he went there. O'Connell went there as a walk-on, and really has been impressive. And I know he's had his ups and downs too, and he's been the starter and he's not the starter, and they have different guys that have played. But at the end of the day, he's been the consistent guy, and he's really played well as of late. And they got a lot of talented receivers, and they got some good tight ends, and they get the ball out fast enough and do enough things with that to take some stress off their offensive line. They've not been known for their running game. They're known for their passing game, and they're one of the top passing teams in the country right now. And so, but I think it's a combination of, just they do a great job schematically, and got a really good system that they use, and then they stress you. They stress you vertically, they stress you horizontally, they stress you intermediately, and a lot of different concepts that they use to make you have to really defend a lot of the field and do a good job with that. And like I said, and do it in a way to be able to create enough time for their quarterbacks to throw, so they haven't given up, and there's been a couple games have stuck out where they've given up some sacks, but overall they really haven't consistently, but I think it goes back to how quickly the quarterback gets rid of it. So, but he just does a really good job with that, and that's something that when you play these guys, you have to defend the pass extremely well, but as is always the case, you can't let them run the football, and that's priority number one, but which is the case every single week for us. But I just know that they throw it well, and we got to be able to have, a lot of different variations to be able to have answers for that.
I guess kind of a follow-up more conceptually on talking about Donovan and maybe sort of his struggles Saturday, kind of understanding when to run, when to pass, having confidence in both his decision-making and maybe just the act of passing the football. I mean, with a young quarterback especially, is there a lot you can do with him, I guess, on the sideline when you're seeing that happen, or is it one where maybe you need to get him more to the controlled environment of a film room and sort of let him work through more slowly and not quite maybe the relentless nature of a game? Okay, this is what I missed seeing here, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it the learning process of figuring out, what mistake I made, how can I best process how to learn from it and get all that. It probably happens in the classroom, in the meeting room, and which is what we do, the day after the game and then days even after that to be able to teach and grow and learn. So, but there's obviously, even during the game, you're trying to talk through things and be able to, if a guy makes a mistake, get him calmed down, get him on the board, talk it through them, show them what they're going to see, show them what they saw, have them tell you. A big thing to me is having them tell you what they saw. And that tells you a lot, about, are they seeing things that they need to be seeing? Are they seeing, we talk about seeing ghosts out there. Are they seeing things that aren't really there, and they get spooked and thinking that it was this coverage and it was really that coverage and that kind of thing. So that's a big part of it. And I can tell you kind of where a guy's at, mentally and in his growth. And there's no question that there's a lot there for him to learn and grow through. But even with him out there when he's playing, this week we got to throw the football with him, and that's, he knows that, we know we want to do that, and he needs to do that, and he does it, well in practice, and needs to do it well in the game, and I know he can, but we got to get to that point where that's happening consistently on Saturdays, because that's really all that matters. Nobody cares about what you do in practice, so other than just the coaches and our preparation for all that. But bottom line is that we got to transfer what's going on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, walkthroughs on Friday to game day performance on Saturday. Awesome. Have a great day. Elio.